Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, as you can see, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon by talking about the movies, obviously, the theme parks, merchandising, whatever the case may be. So this is going to be the fourth and final part for this podcast thing I've been referring to. Four parts. Are you serious? I have to be kidding me. Oh. And yeah, I think these individuals totally missed the point. It's like you realize if it wasn't for the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, there wouldn't be a princess franchise. You can trace all those princess movies, even the newer stuff. Even if you want to argue the newer stuff is better, you realize there was not none of those films would ever existed if it wasn't for this movie. I guess you can say it caused like a chain reaction, and I mean that in a good way, of course. And this is a really good movie. I honestly really liked it. Actually, come on. Yeah, think of it like the whole idea behind the butterfly effect. The movie and the overall concept is what I'm referring to. You change one thing, you change everything. You can definitely say that this definitely had a ripple effect throughout the film industry. So it definitely started something. That's for sure. This film it started something. It is what you would call like it created some sort of like I was saying a moment ago, like some sort of ripple effect throughout the entire film industry. So yeah, did anybody ask for this movie? No, no one was asking for this movie. If anything, no one had no belief in this film at all. And guess what happened? It became one of the most successful films of all time. While yes, many of these popular films from Walt Disney when he was alive were made back then, and then the company's popularity did not stop when he died. Of course, they continued to make more and more of these as time went, and they still remain popular to this very day. A lot of the original films that came out when he was alive still are pretty popular to this very day, even right now. A lot of these are still fondly remembered, and one even the original films. Yes, they keep talking about the original movies. Does that mean these original films are sexist, homophobic, transphobic, racist, or anything else? Of course not. And yeah, films like the original Alice in Wonderland was often viewed as a bad movie, which it isn't, just because of the fact that people felt like it was a pro-drugs movie, and like it was influencing kids to do like really the hardcore stuff, I guess you can say, which of course obviously was not the case, like at all. It's just people wanted to ban this movie because they had that perception. I mean, get down to it, that's what all this is about. Matters of perception, I guess. I mean, yes, the newer Disney films from the 1990s and to 2000s are different from the older films, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And the thing is that, and yes, I find it kind of odd that the movie-going audience keeps saying they want something different. They want something different. They want something different. And when they do something different, like this movie, for example, it's just unfortunately movies like Brave, people don't really talk about it like at all, whatsoever. So yikes! Yeah, when the film premiered, it just seemed like hardly anyone went to see it. Yeah, hardly anyone speaks about it, which is a bit of a shame because it's actually pretty good. Yeah, Disney keeps pumping out these remakes year after just like crazy, and then of course a lot of people goes out and see them. Yeah, crowds and crowds of people actually support these remakes, and I don't like remakes; they're terrible. Oh, and yet they're the same people who keep complaining that Disney is making too much the same. But then, oh, it's too different now. Are you serious? There's no pleasing people, I swear. I still hate remakes, I'm just saying. But then there's movies like The Prince and the Frog, which actually did pretty well, actually. So, I don't know. I guess that's something, I suppose. I mean, the movie's pretty alright, but people liked it. It still doesn't get talked about as much as the original Lion King movie, I guess. But yes, of course, there's going to be a lot of religious individuals out there, of course. And yes, I still believe that they can be very controlling, control freaks, I guess you would say. Yeah, now here's a group of people, I can definitely say that. And there's no pleasing you, like, at all. So yeah, folks, of course, Yes, Christianity was created to cause confusion, control, and destroy people's lives, which a lot of people believe because when they say they fear God or only believe in Him solely because their family told them to do so, people use Christianity as the coping mechanism, I guess you can say, when their lives are in a crisis or just simply going through a hard time. Maybe it's not extremely tough, but some sort of hard time, I guess you can say. They'll just talk up good things are happening to them just because they must be God related, I guess you can say. So yeah, there's plenty of people that have been twisting every word in the Bible as a way to brainwash and control people in evil ways. Yes, Christians can do bad things, of course, and which is why media is brought up, of course, when in this broadcast. Obviously, when it comes to cell phones. Yes, you can watch Disney related stuff on your cell phone. You can play Disney video games, Disney books, Disney comics, Disney shows, Disney comics. It's just whatever, literally whatever is related to Disney. And they know it. These individuals who I'll be talking about, they know that Disney does have a strong market. And they know that. Disney's smart to use, like stores like Target or Walmart as a way to, get some sort of advertisement. Or I mean, even in the news market, yes, if you're one of those individuals that have what you call a fixed income, I guess you would say, you could always go to the used market like DD's or even oh yeah, Amazon or Goodwill just to buy some used stuff. I mean, there's a bunch of other places, of course. There's a truckload of places that have other theft stores. I guess yeah, I guess you can say, folks. Sure, there's plenty of that places again, especially if you're really low on money, you went on the individuals who are SSI, SSD, or EBT, what's it called? Yeah, something like that. Then those places would definitely be helpful if you really want to get your Disney fix, I guess you can say, and that's fine. I mean, I personally much rather get it than you, if I'm gonna be honest with you, but I know with some such situations it can't be helped for some people, which yes is understandable. But I'm just saying. But yeah, just unfortunately, these individuals, Christians like these individuals I'll be talking about in this podcast, is that, uh, yeah, just they know that it bothers them. That's why they keep talking about stuff like like the cell phones. They keep bringing up cell phones over and over again because of that fact. They know they can use the internet on your phone. Yes, for some people that might be a shocker. Yes, using your internet on your phone. That's why these Christians, those are people talking about. They're trying to minimize the use of the cell phone, trying to limit the access to anything Disney related, and yeah, they're trying to limit the influence of Disney. It's not so yeah, yeah. Another thing is the internet. Since I brought that up, I'll bring this up for a brief moment. The internet. There's definitely lots of stuff that can be said about this. Uh, yes, lots of religious individuals don't want nobody, literally nobody, to use the internet because the internet has a lot of information, which means this information can actually contradict the Bible, which it has. I didn't know that. They definitely know that. I mean, yes, of course, addiction can ruin lives, being depressed and whatnot. I'm not dismissing that, okay, folks. I'm not. Just to be clear, I'm not dismissing that. All right, just. But anyway, point being is that a lot of these Christian individuals or Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, or whatever, uh, ultimately they don't care. I mean, yes, as harsh as that sounds, when it comes to mental illnesses like addiction or whatever it may be the case, like autism, which is viewed as a disorder, or schizophrenia, stuff like this. Do they really care? No, no, not really. They just want to limit the use of the internet for the obvious reasons. It's all about control, and that's it. Yeah, it just comes off like a lot of these Christians, a lot of Catholics or whatever, just want to give you the persona that they care. Oh, they're all so sweet and caring, and it's a common thing for a large group of people to actually believe this kind of thing. When in reality, the more people to convince, the better. They just want the numbers. Yeah, it's just a few of these people are just numbers, the believers, and that's about it. When you think about it, they just want two people to believe them to make it as if they're all in the right. I mean, yeah, the film Frozen was already attacked by lots of religious people. Lots of religious people seem to really despise this movie. I mean, they despise the first movie too, so of course they're gonna go after the this movie as well. A lot of religious folks, yeah, they seriously seem to absolutely loathe this movie. Even though I didn't think Frozen 2 was all that bad, really, like at all. But yeah, they seem to seriously hate this movie. Ugh, with a lot of passion. Give me a break here. And I mean, yes, trying to make it have some sort of connection when it comes to the old Disney princess movies and whatnot, and how things change, which in itself is pretty ridiculous. Of course, cinema changed. But they totally dismissing the whole idea. I mean, yes, of course, this film is about two sisters, sure, but they don't bring up the fact that the relationship, how it's pretty much been on a strain, and you know how they have to go this grand adventure, of course. And you can say, in some ways, it's more about, of course, as well about self discovery. There's some marriage to be had. Is what I'm saying here. Oh, the relationship between these two characters and whatnot, how Kristoff grew as a person, how their relationship grew, and speaking of relationships, compared to them, those two sisters, how their relationship more matured compared to the first movie, and how their relationship changed compared to the first, how they changed as characters, maybe more mature and whatnot. So a lot of this gets glanced over because what I'm saying is that is true. A lot of what's going on within the movie, within its own context, is glanced over. I mean, just because it was made in a different era doesn't mean the old movies are sexist. I think they did not even bring up anything about the movie themselves. They're not being specific on anything. I still, I'm still lost at what's any of this have to do with Frozen too. What does anything have to do with anything? I don't get it. And they're just being way too broad and whatnot. They meet up with new characters and the fact that she has powers is somehow connected to these natives that live here or whatever, and it's somehow connected to their mother. There's a whole shebang when it comes to that. Like I said, there's a lot of context that's of course dismissed here. And of course, there's a voice being cut out to her, and how the two sisters have to stick to each other no matter what. Of course, and also consider the fact that Frozen 2 is one of the few Disney princess films that doesn't have a villain. And also, the first Frozen film can be considered as nostalgic. Yeah, nostalgia. Because it was almost released nearly 10 years ago at this point. Christ. Alright, with that being said, let's just jump into it, shall we?
Well, and I think at Plugged In, we spend a lot of time thinking about this. And so I want to kind of unpack the so what here, because I think I'm kind of a nerdy wonk. And so I want to kind of unpack the so what, because I think for most of us,
How are you a nerd exactly? In which way are you talking about? If anything just comes out of Christians like you, which you are pretty much doing, is that just manipulating your way through all this conversation. That's it. That's all you were doing, really. Nothing more.
statistics are kind of shocking. But, as we
Whatever these statistics you're talking about, I'm not going to take your word for it because honestly, I don't believe anything any of you are saying right now or ever.
dive a little bit deeper into this, there may be some other concrete things
Again, I don't believe you because literally everything you're saying, ever since the very beginning, has come off disingenuine, honestly.
we can kind of think about together. And so each of us has read this report.
I call bullshit on that because you really don't want anybody to be working together. You want everybody to kiss your ass because that's what Christians do.
What are some of the things that stood out to you that you feel like parents really need to know about in terms of, the specifics of this study?
One thing
Don't be so controlling for one, because if you do that, if you be so controlling of your child, the child will resent you for that.
that stood out to me was that the majority of kids by age 11 have some sort of a smartphone now.
Yeah, like 53%.
Yeah,
I think it
yeah.
was.
Which, when you stop and think about that, I mean,
Christ, I'm over 100 years old, and I still feel like you came off extremely old. You say that, these young folks nowadays.
the fact is that smartphones haven't been around all that long, but in just a very short period of time, we've gotten to the point where parents are very open and okay with kids having their own smartphone and toting them around by.
What are you talking about? You can mind your own business for one. The way you parent your kids may not be the same as somebody else. It doesn't have to be one specific style, you know.
When they're 10, 11 years old.
Well, I think it's almost become something that a lot of kids feel like they need to have in order to feel like part of society. You know, I think that it becomes almost.
Oh, give me a break. You're such a hypocrite. You're blaming societal pressures for this, yet you're pressing people to be Christians. Double standard.
Requirement that they have that, you know.
All my friends have phones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Again, massive hypocrites. So rather than say each individual child wants an iPhone or whatever, but them as a group because of society. But in the previous video where I'll be discussing this kind of a thing, a lot of you Christians will guilt trip a lot of people to be Christians, otherwise you're deemed the enemy. That in itself can be considered as peer pressure right there. So you blame society if it doesn't, for the same thing, if it doesn't go your way. Again, that makes you massive hypocrites right then and there. So what are you talking about?
Exactly.
Jonathan, you and I were having a conversation. My son just turned 13, and we have held the line, and he has had all my friends have phones, and I'm like, and if all your friends jumped off a cliff, you know, would you jump off?
But you guys would have gone along with it anyway if it was Christian phones. And again, who bought the cell phone? You did. They didn't. But again, you guys are hypocrites anyway, because a lot of Catholics had enslaved Mexicans, Cubans, let me see what else. Oh, the Philippines, just to name a few. And you even pressured the government itself, the United States government to be more exact, to put the title "In God We Trust" on the money, because previously it was not on there. So again, you just seem to be picking and choosing on what you want to talk about here. Give me a break. It's like, okay, I get it. He and the other individuals are trying to attach their whole societal pressure of, you know, cell phones, iPads, and all that, trying to tie it to Frozen 2 because, oh, Disney is trying to make people be a certain way, trying to make people do a certain thing, this or that, or whatever the case may be. And that's funny coming from them because they're trying to pressure people to become Christian. Again, double standard, double standard.
A cliff.
Now, there's an old school.
I know, right? I know. And Henry's like, no, but that's stupid. So, I mean, where we're at is we got him a dumb phone, a flip phone, and he thinks it is a dumb phone because it doesn't.
Yeah, I agree with the kid. That is stupid. That's a huge left turn because how did we get from talking about the cell phone to jumping off to your death? What?
Very well.
Right.
It doesn't do what he wants it to do.
Oh, Christ. Again with the gaslighting. Oh, yeah, the kid, yeah, he's stupid in this situation. Sure, pal.
And lately he's been like, you know, yesterday he was down after school. I'm like, Henry, what's going on? He's like, well, all of my friends are mocking me because I have a flip phone. And so, Jonathan, you and I had a conversation a while back, but just talking about.
Oh, my God. But that's what kids do, especially with boys. Boys teach each other all the damn time. What are you talking about?
The reality of how much do we balance? You know, we want to not.
It's not that deep, you overly sensitive bastard, because that's what boys do. Boys teach each other all the damn time. Christ.
Be the ones that are just absolutely embracing everything the culture does. But, you know, the validity of the fact that even though we're trying to make good decisions, is it making him a social pariah? And as parents, that's.
It's not that deep. 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 Not that deep.
We're at today is trying to navigate this crazy world of, you know, it's not the best argument, but.
Oh, like I said, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. No, 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 no. It's not that deep. No, 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 no. It's not that deep. No, 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 no. It's not that deep. Oh, it's not that deep. But they're trying to make it out like it is. And you're the one to talk anyway, because a lot of Christians had enslaved people from different races because God said so. And the whole thing women must admit as well. And also, the Spanish Empire had murdered a truck ton of Native Indians because they would believe that Native Indians or just a bunch of savages. Why? Because the Bible, the very Bible that you're reading, is the same Bible that they're reading. I mean, or excuse me, had read, past tense. But point being, they thought the same thing that, hey, God said so, so it's perfectly okay to murder these folks just because of that. Come on, how barbaric do you have to be? I mean, and then you come over here and get annoyed at the fact that your kids get made fun of for having a flip phone. Okay.
Maybe there's some validity to it.
Yeah, no, I think that there really is.
Again, what are you talking about? You're making this into something completely different when it doesn't have to be.
It's a really difficult place that I think parents are in right now to try to balance this out.
Funny coming from you Christians, because a lot of Christians enslaved people from different ethnic backgrounds. So what are you talking about?
I think that you're dealing with a lot of societal pressures, and you're dealing with a society.
All right, it's society's fault. It's always society's fault. But what if you're in a situation where your kid is a total asshole? It's a case in point. What I'm about to show, there's a little kid. Yeah, wait, speaking of cell phones, there's a little kid that threw a hissy fit. The kid was, what, 12 years old, I believe. This little kid just totally wrecked up the place because this little kid, he got all pissed off at the parent because the parent took that cell phone away. What if you're in one of these situations? Here, Casey, I just showed the footage. Here you go.
A 12-year-old boy did this after mom took away his phone.
Take the baby back.
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact details what led to that. Maybe the mother's an asshole or the kid is an asshole. But whatever the case was, it led to that kind of a thing. What would you do if you were in that situation? Oh, let me guess. Blame it on the princess movies, right? Because they're apparently pressuring folks to be a certain way, which of course, again, is another lie. You're just trying to spin some sort of agenda that parents should be more careful. Just because, like we were saying earlier, just because you parent a certain way doesn't mean the other person can do the exact same thing.
That embraces screens. We love our screens. And I'm not just talking about kids and teens. I mean, I think one of the big problems that we have with screen time is actually the parents are on these screens as much as teens are, And I think that we set a pretty bad example for the kids.
Oh, okay, people have been addicted to their phones. But what does that got to do with Frozen? What does that got to do with anything? Just coming off, you just picking up random stuff out of thin blue air and trying to tie it to the topic at hand. What does that have to do with anything? What are you talking about?
In our care.
Yeah, I mean, I only have a 2-year-old and then one on the way, so it kind of freaks me out.
So he's only got one phone.
That's right. He only has one phone right now, but it kind of freaks me out that he already knows how to scroll.
Right. Alexa, where's mommy?
Exactly. But I think instead of having this
What's so funny? I guess your lives, maybe, I suppose.
I don't know, fear culture about it. They're going to ruin our kids.
And you're making shit up. And that's funny coming from you Christians, because you Christians pressure people to be in your side all the time.
As a teenager, I didn't get a phone until I was 17.
And look how you turned out.
I know.
Well, back in my day, I used to go outside in the backyard and play with sticks. Just get it? They sound old as hell. Christ, I'm over 100 years old, and I still think they sound old as hell. Christ, man. Oh, okay, you didn't have fun until you were 17 or whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
The shining example. But I think I listened to a ton of music, and what I found interesting in this study is that it kind of combined everything, like you were saying, like music and books and all this stuff. And so when I wasn't doing homework or at school, who's going to be doing homework in their free time? Nobody. So of course you want to have like the fun thing that brings people.
And what's your problem then? Okay. What are you talking about? Then what's your problem?
Together. And technology can be unifying. It doesn't have to be isolating. I think as parents, it's probably our job.
Well, that's true, but I don't take what she's saying as genuine because you want everything to be Christian and only for Christians. Isn't that what you would call a contradiction? Which it is.
Like, how do we make this something that can be communal instead of, isolating?
Kristen, that is so smart because I think the mistake we make.
Excuse me? What was so smart about what she said? Well, what's smart? You just want to do something with her, huh? Is that what it is? Yeah.
Sometimes when we see a report like this, we tend to freak out
Yeah.
as mom and dad, and we tend to immediately start thinking of the boundaries we need to put.
Yeah, but you guys are parents anyway. You already have control. You already have the thing you're complaining about. And you just use this as a way to attack the old Disney films just because they're old. So what? They're old-fashioned. That doesn't mean they're bad, really.
On our kids because we, oh man, okay, well, how many hours a day? Okay, what limits?
You can't already do that because you have the job, you have the money. You're the one that's paying for all this when you think about it. The cell phones and everything. It's not Disney's responsibility to take care of your child. They are not your babysitter. And once the child turns 16, he or she then start slowly becoming more independent for themselves because they become themselves a young adult at that age. So what are you talking about?
And we immediately go to boundaries when we need to start thinking about bonding. And what you said is,
oh Christ, you're coming off like one of those overbearing parents. Give the child some space. You realize by being too overbearing, you can't make them dislike you.
Instead of like, if our kids are sitting watching YouTube videos, which the report was very clear that was.
Yeah.
What report are you referring to exactly? You never brought the who wrote it or who made it or whatever. You're not being exact here, really.
Teens' favorite activity.
Yep.
It
doubled in the last 4
second.
years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was
absolutely.
incredible.
And it was teens' second favorite activity. Instead of walking in and being like, hey, how much time has that been on there? To maybe sit and go, oh, what are you laughing at? Hey, show me. Not like the parole officer saying, show me so I can see if it's appropriate or not. But so to just say, hey, you're laughing. Let me join in with you on that.
Yeah.
And I always encourage parents that, if they're watching Netflix or something like that, maybe join them.
Yeah.
Let me guess. You can watch literally anything except if it's Disney, right? That on its own sounds extremely toxic right there.
One of the things, just to bring it almost full circle, is you think about. I talked about James Bond being an influence on me. One of the things that was really special about that is I watched it with my dad. And I think that sometimes when we look at entertainment, we look at technology, we know that they're a huge influence, but as you say, Jonathan, they can bring people together. You can have community, you can have family time around some of these elements if it's appropriate for the family.
But we
Oh, it's just for the family and nothing but the family. If the family can't watch it, then what's the point of looking at it? Again, that just proves my point. That's so toxic.
ignore the fact that more and more studies are pointing to the fact that if kids are spending an average of 6 hours a day, then they're 3 times more apt to have depression problems and things of that nature too. We can't throw that away. Now,
I agree.
I agree with Jonathan 100%. It can be a bonding tool,
Yeah.
but we can't just say, oh well, throw it to the wind.
We can't
And being extremely toxic. Oh, it has to be just for the family and nothing more. Family this, the family, get out of here with that mess.
use a replacement for human interaction.
Right.
It is truly a balance of bonding and boundaries. And that's what's so hard about this parenting thing is, on one hand, we want to sit there and, hang with our kids and talk with our kids, but it's also okay to say, sorry, you're not going to have this thing in your bedroom at night.
Like I just said, you're already the parents. You already have the control already. If you don't want them to look at it, then don't.
Or sorry, you're not going to play video games for 12 hours in a row.
Okay, well, I gotta demonize video games like that. Another thing is that Who's gonna do? You're not supposed to do that anyway. Again, who bought the games? Who bought the consoles? It was you.
So we need to have those boundaries as well.
No, that's exactly right. And that's one of the things that we hope going forward from here to help and encourage and equip you with is how do you engage intentionally and wisely in a way that builds.
Oh, that's a lot of shit. Because all you guys want to do is just control your kids. Control your kids, control your kids, and control your kids some more. Until they're like, what, 18?
Relationship that places appropriate boundaries in place.
No. What you're trying to do is destroy those boundaries. You can easily control them. So this entire thing just seems like an oxymoron when you think about it.
It really helps your kids to be able to use all of these things wisely.
Oh, well, of course, you're trying to make this entire thing seem like a positive thing. Again, this seems like emotional manipulation when you think about it.
So as we move forward into the future with the Plugged In Show, we look forward.
Oh, don't expect me to come back to your show, folks. Yeah, of course, all this is a podcast thing that they have on SoundCloud. I'm not going back to it.
Talking with you about all of these issues that we're going to be dealing with.
When it comes to these SoundCloud things or whatever, yeah, as you can see, I'm usually just going to it because it has something to do with Disney. And that's about it, really.
So thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to getting back together with you next.
And yeah, as you can see, they're literally trying to wrap things up here. And, of course, we learned absolutely nothing. Nothing really.
On the Plugged In Show.
Well, yeah, there you go, folks. That's the last little section they had right there. And ultimately, like we said just a moment ago, this means nothing. This absolutely means nothing whatsoever. And it just comes off like they just want to control everything. And they're just, as if it wasn't obvious enough. I mean, yes, Disney is one of the biggest companies in the world, and they know that. And one thing I keep noticing when it comes to these Christians, they know that Christianity has been dying off in the recent years, of course, and they don't like that. They don't like the fact that they're losing a big grip, of course, when it comes to maybe, say, the government, television, books, or whatever else. And the thing is that it sounds like censorship when you think about it. Oh, yeah, only have everything for the family. The books must be for family. Every novel must be for family. Every show must be for family. Every movie, every video game, every album, every song, every music, literally everything for the family. You realize that in itself is going to cause a saturation, right? And of course, this in itself can cause censorship. It can also cause a stagnation when it comes to being creative because you're trying to keep everything within the box, which in itself is a contradiction. Because I know in the other videos I mentioned with these individuals that they don't want the Disney princesses to be in one box. However, by doing so, they want to keep them in a box. So yeah, folks, again, it seems like an oxymoron. So yeah, folks, let me just wrap things up here. Yeah, this is the fourth and last video I'm going to do with this specific topic, with these people, of course. I'm not going to make no more of it. I think 4 is enough. Oh, not really. I think the thing is that I only split it into 4 parts because if I kept it in one video, it's going to be well over an hour. Put it that way. It's going to be roughly 2 hours. I guess you can say, yeah, it was going to be about roughly 2 hours if I kept it all in one video. I didn't want to do it, if I'm going to be honest with you. I did not do one long video if I kept it like that. No, I just kept it in 4 parts, 4 segments, I guess you would say. Just do it like this. I think this was much easier. But even then, it felt like it dragged out because this entire thing felt it was padded. It like at the end of the day, they're just bringing up some random stuff that doesn't mean anything. That's loosey goosey, loosely connected, but not really. And of course, they brought Frozen 2 and briefly Frozen 1. And Ariel, and they kind of brought her up, and the other Tangled, Rapunzel was brought up at some point or earlier. But that's about it. Nothing was really connected, really, like at all. It just came off they were just making up as they go. Which they clearly were. Maybe they discussed something before recording the podcast, have a brief discussion about what to talk about on air, but maybe I think just going from there. Maybe I don't know. They didn't really know. They didn't rehearsal. They clearly didn't really have solid foundation for what they were talking about. Because ultimately, it was like we say before, and I keep repeating over and over again. This entire thing was way too broad, and they're just trying to grab a bunch of stuff out of thin air to make it as if they know what they're talking about. When in reality, they don't. And I mean, yes, I could go on and on with this alone because there's so much to talk about when it comes to this kind of a thing. And yeah, but the thing is that this video is already long as it is, folks. So excuse me if I don't bring up everything here. Another thing is the whole thing with Christians, of course. I keep bringing up from time to time throughout this entire thing. Funny how they keep trying to act as if that, oh, the old Disney way was very controlling, which is not the case. Just because something's old doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's racist. It doesn't mean it's sexist. It doesn't mean it's homophobic or whatever you think of. Just because something's old doesn't mean it's like that. And then another thing is that it's funny that they were talking about that kind of thing because of the fact that a lot of Christians would want to control a lot of stuff anyway. So it's just odd that they would say like that. Oh, I mean, it just seems like again the whole idea would just be a hypocrite, double standard. Sure, they don't mind having a dictatorship or somebody that's ruling the land with an iron fist as long as it benefits them. But as long as it benefits somebody else, it's not as an issue. I mean, don't get me wrong, fascism or communism or whatever, it's all bad. All that's bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to bring up a point here. And but yeah, then they're trying to paint the picture that the old Disney is bad, but the new Disney is good, which is complete bullshit. When you think about it, I mean, you can say it's nostalgia in some ways because they haven't grown nostalgia. They were trying not to be too harsh to the old Disney stuff because, again, out of nostalgia, because they grew up with these old movies like Cinderella, Snow White, and all that. They grew up with these movies. Holy shit, folks! Let me just wrap things up. Yeah, like I said, you can see that they were not trying to be too harsh to the older movies because, like Dumbo or whatever else and whatnot, or like even like Robin Hood, of course. And obviously they're not trying to be too hard to the old movies, really, because again, nostalgia, nostalgia, nostalgia. I don't want to talk about nostalgia too much here because I've already spoken about my disdain towards nostalgia quite a few times. I don't like nostalgia, honestly. I really, really don't. But anyway, folks, yeah, that'll be it. I thank anybody for watching these long videos, of course, multiple parts here. But I felt like this went on for too long. Really did. As always, thanks for watching, and take care until next time. See ya.